Hey guys, it's Two Guys in Hockey Talks. I'm Pavel, and we have
Jordan.
Aaron
and Jordan and Aaron back. Welcome back, everyone. I know that it's Two Guys in Hockey Talks, but we love Aaron and Jordan's thoughts, so we decided to do another round of roundtables, getting some thoughts and ideas from these two gentlemen who are hockey gurus in their own rights and are big fans. I mean, they are wearing jerseys of teams that I'm not the biggest fan of, but we'll get into that. Evan, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing wonderful, man. It's been a wonderful week of hockey. Because I live in the north, I live in Edmonton here. What I'm finding is I don't know much about the NHL unless I search it up now, because I feel like there's one division. So I was talking to a guy online, and he is a Washington Capital fan, and he's just saying, "You mean there's another division?" That's kind of what he's feeling like too. So yeah, what's happening in your world, Pavel?
Not much. Got to get some cross-country skiing in today. It was pretty good. Been enjoying some of the Oilers games. Jordan and I will watch separately, COVID rules and all. Just kind of enjoy that and, keep them busy. It's been a busy January, but enjoying life. Aaron, how you doing this week?
not too bad. You mentioned that we're wearing jerseys that you don't really like, but I like that we got the defending cup champs in the house tonight. So gotta put the shout out there. But otherwise, all is pretty good, other than watching the Oilers not deciding what kind of team they want to be.
Okay,
Fair enough.
let's
Fair
do
enough.
it. Jordan?
I mean, do you have a team that's up and coming and as hot as New Jersey Devils, Jordan, or what?
Well, honestly, I'm just trying to stay out of the cold, but the Devils right now are pretty hot, so I don't know. I'm rolling with it.
Hey, Jordan, I was thinking it's kind of cold vid out. Hey, okay, guys, just before we get into, we were continuing this week with best prospects, and this week we have a new topic we're going to be sharing today. We're going to talk about the Hockey Hall of Fame, people who have been exclusions, and we have 6 people we're going to talk about around our roundtable. Before we do that, guys, let's just have a quick discussion around a couple of the big trades that have happened over this last week or two.
Right. So we got Pierre-Luc Dubois from Columbus heading over to the Winnipeg Jets, and a 2022 second-round pick, because as we all know, the 2021 round draft picks, the lottery's kind of up in the air. We don't know what's going to happen, but they send over Patrick Laine and Jack Roslovic, a hometown boy for Columbus, and it looks like, Dubois got what he wanted. Aaron, what are your thoughts?
It's interesting. A lot of people are talking about how Laine is going over to that system in Columbus, and he's just going to get ripped by Torts. I don't see it. I think most of the people that play for Torts, despite his attitude, they love playing for the guy. So, I mean, I don't think it's going to be like the meme that's been floating around where you see him first time he doesn't blow a shot. All right, back to Winnipeg. It's not going to be like that. He's going to have a good future there. The only thing is he doesn't really have that high-end talent around him the way he did in Winnipeg. So we'll see how it goes.
What's your take, Jordan?
See, and I kind of do see in Winnipeg's case that getting Dubois is going to help them because they're already a really strong team. They have those wingers present. Columbus does not have that. Who are you going to put it with them? Like, you want Domi as a centerman, but you're going to put him at wing. Like, it's kind of a tough call. Like, they get the better players in the trade, but I just think that overall right now Dubois is the better player. So.
Interesting. I'm feeling that Roslovic is really kind of the secret ingredient in here. I am concerned about Laine in a small market. I think that he wants to be in a big market. I'm worried that they might have to do a bridge on his next payday here. We'll see what happens from it. If not, it's going to be a big payday, just a huge payday, just as a goal scorer. But I'm kind of thinking like some of the thoughts you guys are talking about, the centerman. He's got no centerman there. And but Torts, man, he gets stuff out of that team. I like him as a coach, but he seems to pull stuff out. And I do think that Scheifele, Dubois down that top 2, put Stastny in the middle on your third line. That's going to set these guys up. I actually think they're going to be. This is a great move, and I think that there's going to be in for some surprise. So, okay, guys, why don't we go into the best prospects? So we're going to go to the Central Division. We're looking for your best prospects from each one of the teams. So we got Washington, Philly, Boston, Jersey, Buffalo, the Islanders, and the Rangers. So, Jordan, do you want to take us off on this one, maybe?
Or are we doing East Division or Central Division?
I think. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, that's the East Division. I got my teams mixed around.
So East Division.
Yeah, I got cold vid, so that's what's happening right now.
Growing the
Evan,
beard. It's okay.
Evan,
That's
do
a
you
lot.
do you even know hockey right now? Like, I'm sorry.
So who would like to talk about their prospect, Connor McDavid?
Is
Okay.
that guy any good?
Does he play hockey?
Okay, let's do it, boys. When I get my beard, I will be able to think better.
Perfect. Yeah, I could start with the East Division. I'll start off with the Capitals, just because they're the team that's right at the top right now. So I'll start off with Connor McMichael. Had a great World Juniors. I think he's a solid prospect. Maybe not a first-line guy necessarily, but a guy right in your middle six. For the Flyers, I have Cam York. So a little bit more off the board maybe because he's just not super proven yet. But I think he's a solid pick. The Bruins, I have Jack Studnicka. He's actually really close to the 30 game mark, but I picked him. I think he's a solid guy. Another middle six guy. Penguins, not a lot to choose from, so I actually had Samuel Poulin, goal scoring winger. And then Sabres, I picked Dylan Cousins. I think it's just a really easy pick. He is the best prospect in their system. Devils, I just wanted to give a mention to Alexander Holtz. I think he had a really good World Juniors, but Ty Smith, I think, is your best defenseman on their team right now. And I mean, he's just a rookie. He's like a point a game player, just excellent. Islanders, I had Ilya Sorokin, the goalie. But I just wanted to give a mention to Noah Dodson. He's over the 30 game mark, but he's amazing, great defenseman. Rangers, Alex Lafreniere, like solidly, they have a really good prospect pool, but he's the top of them, like 100%. So that's my East Division.
Yeah, I like this goal against the Pittsburgh Penguins in overtime. I think it was, or yeah, beautiful first gift.
Say that.
The guy's wearing a Flyers jersey, of course, right?
Anytime Pittsburgh loses, everyone wins, right?
Even if it wasn't
I
against,
love Pittsburgh.
even if it wasn't against Pittsburgh, it's against Pittsburgh. So
what do you got, Pavel?
Pretty much similar to what Mr. Jordan had over there. Washington, Connor McMichael. I loved what I saw from him in the World Juniors. I thought he played very, very well. For Pittsburgh, same thing. Samuel Poulin, right? You know, he brought it. But, I mean, Pittsburgh is kind of depleted right now because they're all in it right now. You know, you've got Malkin and you've got Crosby. You're going to keep going for it, right? I know there's been some rumblings with Jim Rutherford out as a GM, but, you know, we'll see what takes place. And, you know, there's a short list candidates there for the GM job. For Boston, I've got Urho Vakanainen. He's a D guy. Not as well known, but he's putting up some numbers. He's solid. In New Jersey, of course, Ty Smith. He had a beauty goal as well recently. Buffalo, Dylan Cousins. I love what he brought to Team Canada. You know, alternate captain, played well. Could have been the captain, really. And then for New York Islanders, I went a little bit differently. I went with Oliver Wahlstrom. He's a forward. He's got some solid numbers. He can perform. Lafreniere, how can you go wrong with him? I mean, the New York Rangers are stacked with prospects. How can they not? They're going to be a powerhouse in a few years. And then, of course, Philly representing, right? You've got Morgan Frost, who's a centerman, who's up and coming, and he's got some solid numbers. And I'm liking to see what he has, especially since they're really strong up the middle, right? And I will mention, I was a little wary about the Kevin Hayes signing. I thought the contract was a little bit scary, but Hayes is fitting perfectly there. At their first line center. So I'm digging what they did there. What about you, Aaron?
You know what? I think I'm pretty in line with most of you guys, so I just won't spend too much time on the ones we've already talked about. Connor McMichael, I mean, it seems like if your name's Connor and Mick something, you're going to be a great hockey player. Morgan Frost, I have to go with you. He's going to be a great man down the middle. Boston, I've got Studnicka. Pittsburgh, Sam Poulin. New Jersey, Ty Smith, Buffalo, Dylan Cousins, but I'm going to go a little bit off the board because Olaf Samuelsson, he is a great prospect for those guys. I think he's going to be a little underrated with Cousins in the system, but watch for him. He's going to have a great season, I think, when he does eventually get in. Noah Dobson for the Islanders. That kid, when him and Wallstrom went pretty much back-to-back in the draft, that I saw, okay, these guys are going to be dominant in 3 or 4 years. So I'm excited for them for that, to have that guy in the back end. For the New York Rangers, I was thinking of going Tyler DeAngelo, but then he got into some Twitter hijinks. So we're not going to talk about his burner account. So I'm going to go with the real answer and say Lafreniere. How can you not go with the kid?
I love that. Okay. Interesting enough, I'm going to go with Lafreniere, but I don't know about you guys, but if I was a New York Ranger fan, I'd be a little worried right now. Just seeing that he's not producing the way that they thought. I know he's not been set up in a good position, but usually great players, they're not calling him a generational, but they are calling him a franchise. And to be a franchise player, usually you can produce on that third line. Even Crosby did in just a few first couple games. Okay, so let's start off there. I'm going to go back up. So we're going to go to the Islanders. I'm going to go the exact same that you went with, Jordan. I'm going to take Sorokin. The goalie, it's like, I know I'm just looking at this guy, and I think he's going to make Samsonov expendable moving forward here. This guy's amazing. So Dylan Cousins, it's interesting. So I think we have a unanimous there on a few of these. Dylan Cousins, enough explained. Ty Smith, interesting enough. I know Bob Stauffer made a big deal about him in Edmonton. Edmonton had thought about and really liked him as well. He's obviously paying dividends. I'm going to go with Poulin as well in Pittsburgh. You are right. They are deleted, man. Good luck to that next gen. It's like, let's screw up the team. How bad can we screw it up? And oh, by the way, I got reasons I got to leave. It's just like, good luck to the new general manager. Thank you, Rutherford. I don't care if you're Gretzky or Lemieux playing together, man. If you don't got other players, Stunica. So Boston, though, I'm with you guys. So 3 of us are the same. He was a 27th overall, but he is a 2017 pick. Playing with it, and so he's done very well. But he's really kind of more of that power type player personality. He hits well, he checks well. So interesting enough, I think he's going to fit the Boston mold. Went with Morgan Frost again in Philly as well. It's good to see them continue to grab some good forwards, and of course, like you said, Connor McMichael, who else is there in Washington that even comes close? So interesting that, and you guys are all noticed this here on Two Guys in Hockey Talk in our roundtable, that interesting, most of these draft prospects that you're noticing, we're kind of all in agreement. We have not had any previous discussion before today. So, all right, guys, this is the one that excited me. Pavel had thought about this idea, and so we kind of put it together, put it in a melting pot. And so we sent you guys out 6 players. So just so everyone knows, we got 6 players we're going to send you. We're going to talk about the Hockey Hall of Fame. One thing with the Hall of Fame is there's so many players. The Hockey Hall of Fame is not just NHL. It could be junior. It could be what they've done in. It could be, there's builders. There's all these categories we know, but we just picked some players. Now, all the players that we picked are actually previously played. So I'm going to say the 6. I'm not going to talk about them. We're just going to start with the first. We're going to work our way through. So Pierre Turgeon is not in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Theoren Fleury is not in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Sergei Gonchar is not in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Brian Propp is not in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Keith Tkachuk, father of Matthew and Brady, now a famous family, not in the Hall of Fame. And one more, Alexander Mogilny. So let's start with Alexander Mogilny, guys, and let's get your thought. Why don't we start with you this time, Aaron?
You know what? Alexander Mogilny, the fact that he's not in the Hall of Fame is just an absolute crime. The man is way more than a point per game. He played less than 1,000 games. He's got over 1,000 points. He was an absolute stud. And I will say this right now, if he doesn't come over to North America and play, Ovechkin doesn't come here to play. Fedorov doesn't come here to play. It changed the game by being the first Russian really to come over to the NHL and make an impact. So 100% he needs to be there 5 years ago.
Cool. Okay, Jordan?
Mogilny, he's 76 goal scorer in one season. And yeah, I totally agree with Aaron. Like, 100%. None of those guys would have came over without him.
What you got, Pavel? What's your thoughts on McGillney? Should he be in?
100%. I mean, everything that Aaron and Jordan have said is pretty much true. The other thing that I did a little bit of research, so I wrote everything down. He was a Lady Byng Award winner. The year that he scored 76 goals, he was tied with Teemu Selanne. So that's a great competition to be in, right? To have back-to-back, tied. And he did win a Stanley Cup with the New Jersey Devils. And I know that Jordan wants to shout out somebody on that team that was also an All-Star. But so I'll let him do that. But yeah, I think that McGillney was great. There's a fantastic documentary, 20 minutes with Sportsnet, I believe it is, on Alexander McGillney, the defector. I watched it. I loved it.
Good.
Phenomenal. I highly encourage you to check it out. I'll try to put it on our site and get everyone
to
check it out. But Jordan, who's that player that played with him? Not necessarily on the same line, but.
Well, I just wanted to give a mention because it's another guy that I actually think should be in the Hall of Fame. He has 2 cups. And it's Patrick Elias. He was my favorite player growing up. He can play wing, can play center, he can fight, he can kill penalties, power play, everything. He did everything. He was over 1,000 points, over 1,000 games. I mean, I don't know how you can't include that guy, but I'm sure someday he'll get there. And that's kind of the hope for New Jersey AS. They don't have a lot of guys in there, so.
100%. Who's our next guy, Evan?
Oh, so Jordan, are you taking McGillney in the Hockey Hall of Fame?
Out of those players that you had, I actually had Theo Fleury.
So, but would you take McGillney? If
yes,
or is he on that bubble for you?
He's on the bubble. I don't know if he's next year or whatever be it. But, definitely on the bubble.
Yeah, and we're just really trying to, because they're still eligible for the years, but the further away it goes, the harder it is to get on. And something I like that defector piece, and if you can get that on, Pavel, that would be great. We can send a link to you guys if we can find it. But something to consider is he did score 1.04 points per game, and not only was he the first USSR to defect, but he had over like we said, over 1,000 points and stuff. But the guy actually was able to go back and repair and actually became, I think it was president of the KHL team back in his own hometown. He mended the fences. So what he did for hockey, I think, for Russia is just in itself, and to be with all the great players that he played with. So, okay, let's move.
I do have some stats. So he played 990 games. He had 473 goals and 559 assists. Now, this does include some of his time in when he was playing in the AHL or underneath, right, and the KHL as well. So those numbers are all calculated together. But yeah, so he had some pretty strong numbers. And again, I look at it as, if you have a cup, that is a good step to get into the Hall of Fame. That's my opinion.
That's an argument we can make for someone else coming up here. Okay, I'm totally all about McGillney. So let's look at the next one. Jordan, maybe you want to start us off on this one. Keith Tkachuk, should he be in the Hall as he got robbed, or should he be, a future ballot in the days ahead?
He's another guy that's a future ballot. And with some of those picks, some of the guys that you've brought up, they're a guy that's been retired for a while. So, like McGillney, I don't believe has been retired as long as like someone like Theo Fleury or even Tkachuk for that matter. So, I mean, the further it goes, the less chance, obviously. But I think literally all those guys on that list can get in. It's just a lot of them are just on the bubble. So,
yeah, I
do have him getting in eventually, but I just don't think it's right now.
Right. So. It's going to be maybe in a weaker year or something like that with numbers.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait. Aaron, what's your thoughts on that one?
I'm going to get heat for this. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
Whoa! Matthew's coming after you, man.
Make sure.
I can't hurt the guy. I don't like hurting animals. I don't like going after turtles, so I'm not going to do that. Easy for me to say over the internet, I know. But the reason I say Tkachuk isn't a Hall of Famer, don't get me wrong, he was an excellent hockey player. He deserves the credit that he got. But he was very front end in his career. He was very strong at the beginning. Towards the end, when he couldn't stay healthy and he couldn't make weight when it came to going to training camp, he lost a lot of that. So I think that is what hurts him. And I mean, I don't like holding somebody out because of their not having a cup. But in this case, if you're going to the tiebreaker, I can't have him in. I mean, I would rather have him in there than Kevin Lowe, for example.
Fair.
Like, no disrespect to him, but I don't think Kachuk's a Hall of Famer.
Fair. Phil? Keith Tkachuk.
I was on the fence about Tkachuk. I'm gonna have to disappoint you, Aaron, but I think he should because as I noted, he played over 1,200 games, exactly 1,201. So I mean, that is a great, almost Iron Man streak. Granted, he didn't play every single game back to back, but that's a longevity in a career. He's only one of 5 American-born players to score 500 plus goals. And you don't just do that, out of nowhere. And we know that there's some great American players. And I think he gave rise to players that we see like Patrick Kane today because of what he brought to the game. He was a solid guy, and the fact that he was a captain for 2 teams, both the Jets and the Arizona Coyotes, or Phoenix at the time, right? So if you're a captain, it shows you're a leader. It shows you can lead. And the fact that both his kids are now playing in the NHL and are superstars and are going to be long-term players for both those franchises, whether Calgary or whether Ottawa. I mean, both are phenomenal players, right? So I say yes, he's in. And I know the cup thing is a little bit wary, but when people talk about somebody like Joe Thornton, who has possibility to be in the Hall of Fame, I think then Tkachuk deserves it too. Evan, what are your thoughts?
Interesting. I'm going to actually totally take a different approach to this than Pavel. I know he's talking about his influence, but I consider longevity too. And this is why I always have questions about greatest of all time, Bobby Orr, because staying healthy is a part of it. I believe if Lemieux could have stayed healthy, he could have been much better than even Wayne Gretzky. That's just my opinion. So I'm going to now get Brady Tkachuk after me because I do not think he's a Hall of Fame guy. I think he's got wonderful stats, but you can find those stats everywhere. Very few All-Star games, really nothing for trophies. There's not a lot of stuff that he's done. The cup I'm not going to hold against him because, man, he played on some pretty bad teams. He was at the end of his career, like I think he made the move over to St. Louis and stuff. But anyway, yeah, I'm not able to put him there. So, okay, guys, let's make a move over to someone that you guys aren't as familiar with. I grew up loving the Broad Street Bullies. So maybe Pavel's checked in on this more. I want to talk about Brian Propp. Should he be in the Hockey Hall of Fame? He's really an 80s boy, early 80s. Thoughts?
So I'm gonna sound like the most terrible hypocrite wearing a Philadelphia Flyers jersey. I do not think Brian Propp deserves to go into the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. Shame on me for being a Flyers fan. Like, I know. I honestly, what more can I say?
I bet they're all legends.
Like I can make an argument for Lindros, Hextall, whoever else, right? There's some big guys, but Propp, unfortunately, he played longevity 15 seasons in the NHL for them. He's in the Philadelphia Flyers Hall of Fame, right? But no cup, quite a few records, but he has been in the final 5 times, and it just when you're there. You got to be able to push yourself over the edge. And clearly there are guys who get you to the playoffs and there's guys who get you to the promised land. And I don't know enough about Brian Propp, but it just seems like it's not enough for me to give him a vote. I'm sorry.
Well, obviously he's not your Messiah because he didn't take you to the promised land.
Please don't sing Jacob Voracek after me so he says anything negative about me in my media presence.
Weasel or something like that.
Yeah. Okay, Jordan, tell us about Propp. Your thoughts.
Honestly, I don't know too much about the guy because I didn't watch. I wasn't around.
He's your grandpa.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly, if you look at his wiki page, it looks like someone's dad. They just posted a picture on there. So. Honestly, we've talked about it a little bit, is the not having a cup, no cups, and it is tougher to get in without a cup. So just on that, I'm just going to say no.
Okay.
You can't. You can get in if you're Joe Thornton, you're Patrick Marleau, you're Jarome Iginla, you're guys like that, but I just don't see him getting in.
Oh, man. Okay, Aaron, what you got?
the kind of the rule that I follow is if I have to think about it, he probably isn't in my mind. And that's not
good.
anything
Good.
against him because he's a good player. He was a great left winger for Philly. He did a lot of good things, has a lot of good records. He's in the Philly Hall of Fame. I think he's a point per game guy. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he had a very good career. But the Hall of Fame for me is for the people that are the best of the best. And this isn't really about the cups for me. It's just that the name doesn't, if I have to think about it too much, I just don't feel right. So, I mean, he deserves credit for being a great player, but Hall of Fame, I got to say no.
Okay.
So I'm just going to add to that if I can, Aaron. So
Yeah.
his numbers were he played 1,016 games. He had 425 goals and 579 assists. So,
Okay.
yeah, pretty much
You-
4 per
point a
game.
game.
But
Yeah. So let me update you guys because I was a Pele Lindbergh fan. That's what got me into goaltending, actually. Lindbergh,
Wow.
who only lasted 3 seasons, was one of the most acrobatic goalies of his time, even though he was humiliated by the Oilers in the Stanley Cup. A dreadful accident mixing alcohol with drugs caused, and he crashed his Porsche and lost his life. One of the saddest moments of my career where I actually cried. It's like I didn't want to watch hockey again. But I took onto the Flyers. That was in the Tim Kerr days. That's a whole goal scoring thing we can talk about. Bill Barber, all those great guys. Brian Pop was playing with those guys were still bullies, and he was not a true power forward. He was like a Matthew Tkachuk kind of a player. So this is what I will say. The Hall of Fame is, like you guys are saying some other things, like Tkachuk has led to this and brought his kids and a group. Well, number one, if we look at this, he is specifically a WHL legend all-time list. He is actually on. He got over 2 points a game back in Brandon back in the days. I think it was Brandon Wheat Kings he played for.
right, yeah.
And so one thing with Prop also, he has the 13th most career points by a left wing. And the other thing is to know that he is probably the most NHL success without winning a Stanley Cup. And I don't know if you can, and I'm going to talk about this in a couple other players. I don't know if you can fault him for the entire 80s, the Islanders, the Oilers, and the Flames dominating the Stanley Cups. I mean, you have 3 teams for like 11, 12 years, right?
So, Evan, why didn't he just request a trade, like Dubois did? And not play.
Okay, guys, let's jump to Sergei Gonchar. Aaron, do you want to start us off?
No. Not that I don't want to start us off, just no. He was a good NHL player, but his numbers don't add up. He has the cups, but no.
Okay, so this is a case. You guys have talked about no cups. Now a guy finally wins teams cups.
He's
got a
win them
cup.
the cup?
He does have a cup.
No, so should he not be in the Hockey Hall of Fame if he's won a cup?
So this is the debate again. He's like if he was 1,000-point defenseman, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or if he was 900, 800-point defenseman, yeah.
So are we penalizing the defensive defenseman?
He's not a defensive defenseman.
No, he's not.
No, that's just it.
No. I'm also with Aaron on that. It's no.
Yeah, I would say he was one of those guys that created incredible quality opportunities without getting in the points. That Lemieux and Stevens and Yager and Francis and all them were able to provide. He just provided that back end, but did not produce the points like Letang. So, okay, I think that's simple. I'm the same. Sergei Gonchar, I love the guy. I think he was fabulous, but not a Hall of Fame guy. Okay, second last guy that I want to talk about is Theoren Fleury, one of the most controversial. Who wants to start this one?
I got this. So
okay, did he play for Philly?
Well, I mean, he did play for Philly and he was great there. So I'm going to say yes, he does deserve to be in the Hall of Fame only because, and I mean, his numbers are crazy. Like he had great numbers, but what he brought to the game as a 5'6" player is incredible because, as you know, Evan, and you can attest to this, maybe Aaron and Jordan, but we're a little bit younger, so I know, is what is Brian Burke like? What are these older GMs like? They like big, broad, tough, heavyweight guys. And a little guy was never going to make it in the NHL back then in the 80s or 90s. Like, How are you going to get a little guy to play against these guys? They're going to get knocked out. They're going to get taken out. They're done. Theo Fleury, he had hands. He had skill. He could skate. He made things happen. You know, the guy has a Stanley Cup. I mean, he's made it work. So I'm saying yes, he deserves to be in it. He's got a great book. I highly recommend people check it out. He had 1,084 games, and he was also 166th overall in 1987, which goes to show you he was that Braden Point of that time. Nobody expected to take a chance on him, and for him to be what he turned out to be.
Okay, Jordan?
Yeah, absolutely. 8th-round pick. I mean, he kind of led the way for these smaller guys. So like like Pavel was just talking about, but he led the way for a guy like Martin St. Louis, and then it just kind of fled into other guys like Brad Marchand, Gallagher, Yamamoto. Like list goes on of like these Braden Point as well. These small guys that can play that gritty game, can be like a spark plug for a team. Like you need some energy on a line. Like he was that guy, and just what he went through in his personal life as well. And like he put up the numbers that he did. He got a cup. He's over 1,000 points. I mean, I gotta say yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's a Hall of Famer. He has the points to back it up, and he also has a gold medal with Team Canada in 2002 at Salt Lake City.
Point.
That was a big one for us. And again, just his size and the way the game was in the clutch and grab era, and he was able to survive without his head being knocked off. I mean, that in itself is more remarkable. So yeah, no, he should be there.
100%.
You know, interesting. I'm with you guys. I think he's a Hockey Hall of Famer, not a first-time ballot kind of guy, and that's why he is not. I think, like Glenn Anderson, who had to wait quite a while because of a troubled past. Unfortunately, it's just like in the past, your troubled past, when they find out about it late, it's like it holds against you. Even like Pete Rose and baseball and stuff. And I really think that I understand they're talking about off the ice. So if you're considering that his troubled life, you can also say that he's an abuse survivor. He's a recovered addict. And what he's done for the game of junior hockey and helped other players come out. I think that alone puts him maybe in a different category, not even points. But then you look at points like you guys said and how he survived. I want to bet, I don't think I ever got paid for it off my uncle. He just said he'll never survive. He's too little. And I just said, little power. By the way, I'm only 5'7.5". So
speaking of betting and Pete Rose, do you think that Pete Rose should be in the Baseball Hall of Fame now that betting's changed in the United States? That's a whole podcast on its own.
Whoa.
Well, he's getting ahead
Just throwing it out there. Just throwing it out there.
So maybe we need to talk about betting in the NHL. Sorry, go ahead.
You could start two guys in baseball talk if you wanted.
I didn't I didn't do my baseball research for this topic. You gotta give me some heads up here.
Okay.
So I did want to mention one thing about Theo Fleury, because I was watching some of his highlights and just kind of some of the things that he went through and some of the career goals that he's made. So fun little fact, he scored his first goal ever, I'm sorry, Evan, against the Edmonton Oilers, right? I mean, when you do that, that's a pretty big deal. Second thing, there was a game where he didn't have a jersey, so he put on a fan jersey with all the signatures of all the teammates on it, and the refs didn't allow him to do that. So they had to find him a jersey because he was normally number 14. He put on a 76. So that was a fun little trivia tidbit.
That's cool. Okay, guys, I'm looking at the time. We're running late. So quickly, I'm gonna start off on the Pierre Turgeon, the last player. I want to go over a few quick things, and then I'm gonna let you guys wrap it up with your thoughts, and then we're gonna close this. Okay, so I want to talk to you guys about Pierre Turgeon. When I put him in here, this is what I am going to say. This is a home run for me. Now, you got to know, I grew up in basically watching hockey like from 78, 79 originally. The 80s were my decade. Now, Pierre Turgeon, he does not have cups. this is one of those situations again when the 80s were dominated by like 3 teams, the Islanders, the Oilers, and a couple of spots in there for the Flames. In fact, I think the Flames would have won more cups if not for the Oilers. And in fact, the poor Jets looked like just an average team when they were up there. So he didn't stand out against his peers, and that's why I believe it gets held against him. But according to standard and advanced analytics, they're going to tell us otherwise. Now, I need everyone to hear this. He played in the years of Joe Sakic, Steve Yzerman, Dale Hawerchuk, Mario Lemieux, Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier, Yari Curry, Ron Francis, Mike Modano, Matt Sundin, Alexander Mogilny, Sergei Fedorov, and a ton more. He's not treated and given his fair respect. Listen to this. So Dave Andreychuk, who is in the Hall of Fame, he has only 11 less points, but he's played 330 plus less games, and he's not got his due. So for me, he's a slam dunk. He should have been in there years back. Go ahead, roll it out.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think for me, he's sort of in that same class as McGillivray. It's a crime that he's not there. He should have been. I think the cup and the same thing, the players he is against hold him back. But now that a lot of those guys have gotten in, like the Paul Karias and the Teemu Selanis, he's due.
Okay. Jordan?
100% agree as well. Yeah, he should be in. He's an over a point a game player. Like like those guys, and like when you're over the 1,000 mark and you're still over a point a game player, like the over 1,000 game, like 1,200 games, and he's still over a point a game player. Like
so if you don't have a cup, you better have that point a game over like 18, 20 years or something.
Yeah, you better have that longevity or the points to back that up. So.
Gotcha. All right. Wrap up that thought there for us, Pavel.
Well, I'm going to sound like a terrible person, but I'm going to say maybe. I'm not 100% sold on him. Buffalo Sabres are, I'm sorry, the cup thing is a big deal for me, right? Like, yeah, he played over 1,200 games, almost 1,300 games. He was a number 1 draft pick, but like, even though you're surrounded by all these superstars and all-stars that you just mentioned, you got to find a way to stick it out and showcase that you can beat it. And he's been through a couple of teams. So if you can't get it done with one team, that's one thing. But if you're on multiple teams and can't get it done, I don't know. That's just my opinion. So I wouldn't say right away.
So
maybe if you're a Philadelphia Flyer, I guess, eh?
So I just have a question. Your favorite 2 teams, the Philadelphia Flyers and Edmonton Oilers. When's the last time they won the Stanley Cup? Because obviously it's important to you.
Well, I mean, Edmonton went to the Cup final in 2006, and then Philadelphia Flyers went in, when was it, versus 2010, or was it, or 2015?
So going to a Cup is okay, but you don't have to win it?
No, you do have to win it. I'm not saying you don't have to win it, but the guys that I chose, except for one, won the Cup.
All right, guys, man, this was a great episode. We're a little longer, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Jordan, great having you with us. We'll catch you next week again. Aaron, thanks so much. Pavel, in the meantime, in between time,
we're 2 guys in Hockey Talks. Keep your stick on the ice. Thanks, everyone. Tune
Cheers,
in, like,
guys.
subscribe, and comment.
Have a great one.
Thanks, guys.